the main point last year was stay up at all costs. The second half of Saturday was a collective failure for all of us.
Managerial predicted third bottom, predicted to go down.
I was out in town, absolutely steaming. Lad messages me, tried to sign me a year ago, do you still want me? Yes, yes I do.
If you saw coming back, it's almost back step.
Everybody had twas the talk of the town.
So thank you first of all for being with me, for doing this. Obviously it's a club, we definitely need a lot more engagement, social media, just try and get as much community involvement and get eyes on us as much as possible, I guess, to put it. So thank you for being here.
No worries at all. What's been thrown at us?
Yeah, so we've had a lot of questions come through on social media.
How many of them have been battering me?
Quite a few to be fair, but
I think we can guess what they're aimed at as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we won't go into them ones. You're not getting answered on them ones.
Any of them have all been left out.
Okay.
These are all mainly serious ones with a few more personal, but still good-hearted questions at the end.
Okay.
So we're going to kick things off with questions more about just routine.
Okay. So what are we going to do? So we're going to have the team.
Yeah, team, then just about the club as a whole.
Yeah.
And then we're going for more personal questions. Firstly, more football-oriented personal ones.
Yeah.
And then just you and non-football.
Oh, there we go. So people are going to watch 2/3 of this and then they're going to switch off. That's what we're going to get at. But go on.
Pretty much.
Where are we starting then?
We're starting off with last season.
Last season?
There was a lot of ups and downs. I wasn't here last season, so obviously I didn't see it properly. But from what I've heard, a lot of ups and downs. Talk me through it, talk me through thought process for it all.
Well, look, obviously the main point last year was stay up at all costs. We all know what was going to happen. We thought in the summer, to be candid, but as it happens, it will be in the next month or two, which we'll go into later, I'm sure. But ultimately, it was to stay up at all costs. And realistically, I knew what I was getting into at the start. And Mr. Chairman walked me around the field and he said, Tuffs, we're going to have a year from hell. But then after that, we're going to get through it, and after that, look, we can go and have some fun. And the chairman is someone I trust more than most in the world. He's an absolutely fantastic guy. He is a brilliant chairman, and what he says from my first year at the club always happens. And I was more than willing to try and help the club, and him give me an opportunity as well. It was very much a two-way thing. So we went into it. Everyone, it's not hidden that last year we didn't really have any resources, and we were very lucky that half the team didn't even get paid, not even expenses, and it did make it difficult. So we were lucky to have the players here, and it's not an excuse because the players we had, for the most part, they're still step 4 players. And the issue you've got when you don't have the same resources is you're then going on people's milk hue and kindness a little bit.
Yeah.
And so the problem we found was keeping standards high, because we've got a choice. If X isn't performing or isn't turning up or he's late or they've gone out on a Friday night or whatever they've done, we've got a straight choice. We either put up with it, we make the best of it, or we replace with someone that clearly is not going to be as good. And it wasn't even a slight difference. Like the players we had last year that did it for the club, for myself and for the group as a whole, done it for nothing for the most part. We were very lucky to have them, and we could not have got players that were as good as them for what we were at. So it was very difficult to maintain standards, and there were things that I personally got wrong as well. Again, obviously I'm still learning as well, as we all are, and yeah, we managed to get over the line. I think come February, March, people start thinking, well, are we in a bit of trouble here? Mr. Chairman's ringing me up going, Tuffs, are we in the Vars next year? Are we having a go at Wembley? No, Mr. Chairman, we'll be all right. And we managed to keep our heads. We managed to stay balanced and focused throughout a lot of noise. And credit to the boys and the club as a whole for keeping its nerve. We stayed up and we achieved our target.
So obviously, a lot of talk about staying up, but obviously this season, what are the expectations now? Has it changed anyway? Because if you look at the predictions from fans, Ashfield predicted first bottom, predicted to go down. So
yeah.
What were your thoughts on that? And do you have any other expectations higher than last season, or is it still just staying up? Maybe?
No, look, where we're at the moment, the first key is we've got to stay in the league. We have to stay at the level until the club is sustainable. That's the first thing. However, I do think that our expectations as a group is that we can do better than that this year. I think that we've managed to get some better players. We're not hiding the fact that we have got better resources, certainly for now, than we had last year, with the expectation of 3G is down soon. All the boys last year that were on nothing are now on something, which definitely helps. The boys that are on something are on a little bit more. And we've managed to add 3 or 4, we've added more than that, we've added 3 or 4 players, we're not hiding it, are on a few quid now. And that has managed to make us more competitive. Where we are still at as a group is we are having to still make concessions. We're going down to train just 1 time a week this year, which could affect us. I think it might help us. I know a couple of other teams in the league do it, and they found it helps them. But for us, the way of us doing it is saying, well, look, this is where we're at, but actually, you can have an extra day at home with your missus, with your newborn baby. You can have an extra day at work and for your career, and with the less travel and the less petrol and that. So we think that's helped us, and that's helped us attract some players. Where we're at is we haven't necessarily got a balance right yet that we need to do, and that's on me and Kenny and the whole management team to get right as the season progresses. But I certainly feel that we are in a stronger position than we were last year. The question is how much stronger the league is as well.
Yeah.
So in conclusion, must stay up. That is the first thing. But as a group, we feel we can do more than that.
Yeah. Now, obviously, it's been said that you're almost like a non-league Sam Allardyce, let's say.
Okay.
In terms of the way you play, very much direct.
Yeah.
Is that a style of play you're going to stick
Wow. Okay.
Or is it very much more
You've thrown that one in, by the way.
Just the style of play in general, just sort of.
So firstly, a couple of things here. So firstly, like I said, certainly where we're at last year in that, some of the teams with greater resources or whatever will naturally should have more of the ball, right? So there's no point trying to play football that teams that are better at football than you are. You have to give them a different question, and so we tried to turn it very much into a rugby match and make it very territory based. But I think that's non-league football. There are 2 things for me. I have had, God knows how, but over the years we have had a lot of success. We've always had success by being relatively direct. Doesn't mean we're just smashing it from back to front as quickly as we can. It's just, can we go from one end of the field to the other as quickly as we can, break as many of their players out of the game as we can with 1-2 passes, and then when they're deep, then we look to play. I think that I get bored watching teams pass sideways 20 times in front of their 18-yard box. That bores me. I like excitement. I like my teams to be exciting, front foot, aggressive, and like I said, we can play football. We play football in their half and at the right times, not in front of our goal. I think I saw a really interesting stat where I think it was in the National League. I think it was 30% of goals come from teams losing the ball in their third of the field, and it's like, why? It doesn't make sense to me. That's not logical, but that's where we're at.
So obviously you mentioned it very briefly earlier, but all the new signings coming from new players. Talk me through who they are, sort of what your thought process was in bringing them into the club, and how you think we're going to add to Ashford as a whole.
Okay, so first one would be Bradley Sweeney. So Sweeney is a good friend of mine, firstly. I actually work with Sweeney. He's part of my business as well. That's how close we are, and he's played for me for a few seasons before at Knapp Hill and at Ashford, so we know what he can bring. And Sweeney, he's very aggressive. He understands the game. He's got fantastic game understanding. But what's really important to us, especially at a club like this, is we have a good group full of good people that are fun to be around. Like, we spend a lot of time together. We have to enjoy each other's company. And I think he's really brilliant in the dressing room. So for us, he is really, really important signing. Yeah. And that then obviously leads me into the next ones. And what you find at this level of football is players want to play their friends, and you need a good group. And so it was very much thought out that we could get him, Cal Hope and Cal Mack all together, because they are all really good friends. Cal Mack had obviously left Rains Park for Chertsey. Again, he's a fantastic footballer. I don't think he fancied the travel in the Southern League. And although Tazi will probably say, that was other reasons, but certainly that's what we've heard. And some of that quality obviously helps us. And again, all 3 of them are fantastic in the dressing room. Cal Hope obviously is the son of our assistant manager, which desperately helps as well. So we've got all these links, and that's a really good solid core. And once you've attracted players like that, it's then easier to attract other players that want to become part of it. And then we've gone and signed the likes of young Archie and young Josh Blakeborough. So Archie and Josh, we knew we'd lost our right back. Our right back went to a step 3 club, which is great. We really try and push players on. So we thought that's something we need to do. So we went to the Combine Counties, and all managers do, you ring up different managers, chairman, and you get recommendations and you go and watch players. And both Archie and Josh had really, really impressed last year. So Josh got player of the season at Virginia Water. Archie had done brilliantly at Alton and come very highly recommended. So we brought the both of them in. They're both only 18 years old. I think Josh might have just turned 19 now. Only looks about 12. But they are fantastic footballers. And again, local boys, especially Josh, lives in Ashford. So again, that's something that's really, really important to us. The next obvious one, I guess, is Mr. McLeish, who again was with us a couple of years ago, scored a lot of goals for us. Obviously, everyone knows what Aaron's like. Happy-go-lucky, excitable, laughing all the time, but he will score us the goals that we need. And you have to play a certain way for Aaron. Everyone knows that. But he's incredibly effective at what he does. And again, that's a really good signing for us.
Also, at the back as well, obviously, there is a bit of not a hole at centre-back, but very much, from being around at the beginning of the season, he was very much...
We needed a centre-back.
We needed when you struggling to find one. And then you brought in Kyron.
Kyron is a very good signing for us. So Kyron was obviously at Millwall under 23s last year, and he was a professional footballer up to about 2 weeks before we signed him. So that is a fantastic opportunity for the club to get someone like him. Obviously for Kyron, he wants to go up the pyramid, and our aim is to help him do that, as well it is with a lot of our young players. And what Kyron's here for is to learn how to win games of football. Obviously, in academy football, got all the talent in the world. The key for them there is how to turn that talent into understanding how to win football matches, how to play for points, how to play for money, which is effectively what they're doing when they go up the pyramid. And so hopefully we can be a small part of that journey. We've also got Chris Kelly in the same vein. So Chris was released by Fulham and been at Fulham for pretty much his whole life. And what a talent. And Chris actually, we tried to sign when I was at Leatherhead, and he wasn't interested, but he messaged me out of the blue a few months ago. I was out in town, absolutely steaming. Lad messages me, tried to sign me a year ago, do you still want me? Yes I do. I forgot about it, woke up the next day, I was like, yes Chris. And we got him in, got down pre-season, and he's been absolutely fantastic for us. So that's another really good signing for us.
So see, that is a lot of new players coming in. How do you put a team like that together, especially non-league as a whole? See, a lot of people think of putting a team together in professional football, you have multi-million-pound transfers and things like that. But obviously that's not the case in non-league. So how do you work to actually put a team together properly?
In what sense? Are you talking about as a group? Are you talking about on the pitch, off the pitch? What
like just as a group, how do you reach out to players, get players together, get the right players for the group and for what you want?
So firstly, getting the right players for the group, obviously a little bit of word of mouth as well. As you speak to other managers and chairmen, what are they like as people? And that's one of the first questions we ask. We cannot have any egos around us. I don't think you can succeed at this level with too many egos. And you want lads that love their football, are very serious on the pitch and at training, but off the field want to have a laugh and want to be together. So again, putting that group together is very important for us. And like training nights, we make sure everyone stays till 10 o'clock and they're playing pool, they're playing darts, whatever it is they want to do, and you get that social build. And I think the environment we create is one where people can be themselves, and we have some characters, but the characters can be themselves, and they're in a safe environment in that sense. But everyone knows it counts when you go on the pitch as long as you perform. As for putting a group together, well, there are two different ways you do it. So you go, well, I've got a few quid to spend. Well, I'll tell you what we do. This is my chosen shape. This is how I think we can win. And then you go and you get bits to fill those spots, and then you go. If you don't have that, then what you do is you get the best players you think you can get at the time, and you throw them together in a mad mix, and then you try and work out what is the best shape and the best style for that group, which is kind of kind of where we're at. We've got a very talented group, but a very young group as well. I think 3 of our back 4, the last couple of games, are 18 or 19 years old, which is a crazy thought at this level when our goalkeeper's only 20. So that is a very, very young team. But we then find a way what works for them, and then our job as a group, for Kenny, for myself, for the rest of the management team, is to help guide them and get the best out of them.
So you mentioned their opening few games you've had 18, 19-year-old defenders mainly, but just the games in general, what did you think about them? You had 1 win in the FA Cup,
yeah,
and then you had the loss on the weekend.
Ken's 9 men.
Yeah, 8 9 men.
Well done us.
So what were your main takeaways about? What were your thoughts after those games?
So look, football's all about answering questions, and Northwood asked us very different questions to Harrowborough, and the questions Northwood asked us were, well, can we play against a footballing side that is also relatively young, that wants to play a certain way, that is also a new group? And we answered that question, and we ended up winning 2-0, and I think it could have been more. Again, as weeks and months go by, they will get far stronger, as will everyone, as we get to know each other. But we answered that question. Harrowborough was a very different question. And I said, where we are quite young, I was a bit concerned how we match up to them. Everyone knows Ben, their manager, is a very good manager. Everyone knows his teams will be direct, they'll be organised, they'll be good from set pieces, they're going to be big, they're going to be athletic, and they're going to be filled with senior players and win football matches. And I was a little bit concerned that we might get bullied. At half time it's 0-0, and I thought we'd actually really matched up to it. And again, I'm not being naive. Some of their set pieces, I know, as the season goes by, they'll be perhaps more effective with them. But we matched it, and we hadn't been bullied, and our young players had coped really well. I'm actually really proud of them. And they went down to 10 men just before half time, and that's 3 good halves of football in a row without conceding for us, again, as a young group. Second half, again, we've said, look, play the same way, nothing changed. Obviously, we tweaked a couple of things we thought might help against 10. And then 5 minutes into the half, we make a couple of very silly mistakes we won't go into on here because it wouldn't be the right thing. And then we're punished from a set piece. And at that point, you've got a group of winners that are men that know how to win games of football, that are one up with 10 men, and they're desperate to hold on to it, and they've done really well. But again, we probed them. I honestly think if it stayed against 10 men, I think we'd probably win the game. Jack Rounds, the keeper, gets pulled down. They're down to 9. And then with 9 men, collectively, we panicked. And we thought, what's going on here? And we were just not used to it. And they went into 2 banks of 4. And the truth is, Luke, they looked more likely to win 2-0 than we did equalise. And we did have a few half chances that went straight at their keeper. But we just lost all composure. And again, that might be a sign of a young side, but also that was our senior players as well. And also as a management team, I think we could have probably done better as well. So I think Saturday, the second half of Saturday, was a collective failure for all of us. But we will learn for it, and we will go on. But it's been a really good start overall.
Yeah. So, obviously, this could be edited out. I just lost the train of thought completely.
No, you're going to keep that in there. Go on. You're about knowing your trade. He's learning. Don't go. Right, go on. What's next?
Next up is just what would you say is the hardest part about running the team, especially in non-league?
Keep him. These days, I think it's changed. The hardest thing these days is keeping the whole group happy, because everyone knows you're not going to succeed with just 11 good players. But over the last couple of years, it has become an obsession with players that you have to play every minute of every game, or the world's coming to an end. And I've never really had that up to the last year or two, where if a player's on the bench for a game, like, they're asking questions. And of course we communicate before every game why they're not starting and things like that. And I like to think that we're very transparent. We do have a lot of conversations, and everyone knows exactly where they're at. But especially the younger ones these days, they don't really give it much time. And that is hard, because, as you said, you are going to need a group. You will get injuries, you will get suspensions, there will be games that you need different tools, and every player you've got has got different tools. But explaining that to them and saying actually you're part of something, that's very difficult these days, because a lot of it is, I'm going to go as hard as I can, as quick as I can, and the second they're on the bench they don't feel they're developing or the right thing. Well, actually being in the environment is developing you, and you're learning how to act, how to behave, how to get the best out of yourself and how to make the best possible impact. So there's that's probably one of the things that I struggle with the most in non-league. I think the other thing I probably struggle with is probably dealing with expectations, as in unrealistic ones at times, because it is really hard, Luke. So if you're in football, you're a winner. You want to win every game of football. And for us, like up to a couple of years ago, I want to win the league. Every single year, I want to win the league. But if we go out there, which is quite an unrealistic thing, I think that's the best thing for the players. That we're going to win every single thing we're going to go for. That's the best signal to send. But unfortunately, that can also be an unrealistic expectation. So if you're supporting, you say, well, we're going to do this, this and this. It's not realistic, and then you do that, and it's like, well, hang on, you said this, and now you're doing that. So I find that a very difficult balance as well. So between the, I think I can win every game I'm going to do, and being possibly a little bit more realistic of where we're at the time.
Yeah. That is the end of the more team-based questions.
Okay.
So now we're going to move on to just about the club as a whole.
Go for it.
So you did briefly mention it earlier again as well, but the 3G that's been put down here at Stadium.
Yeah.
Just tell me about it, how valuable it will be to the club, what sort of process had to go into it, things like that.
Okay, incredibly valuable, a massive resource. A couple of things here. A massive resource financially, which is obvious, but also a massive resource of people. And having 3G down will get more people into the club. Juniors will be playing on the main stadium pitch, so they will feel more connected to the first team and the club as a whole. It will be a nicer environment for people to want to be involved with, to come and volunteer and to help out. So it's a massive resource in every possible way, and it will give a little small club like ours a real lifeline. I do think that it's been slightly attritional process is probably the best way of putting it. We are so close. We think we're there. We think we're a week away from getting our start date, which will be 3 weeks later. So we think, touch every bit of wood, there'll be diggers in the ground, start to middle September. We think we're that close. There are obviously hurdles that may come up that we don't know about yet, but we've been told that's where we're at, and obviously you can only go by information you're given. Originally thought this was going to be done the second the season ended. Diggers going to go into April. We thought it was good to start this season. We had a whole plan which obviously got ripped up, but realistically that was just naivety from us, where none of us have done this before. None of us have ever put together this before, and the chairman over the course of, I think this is 5 years in the making, he has done an incredible job. That man, more recently Neil Mears has stepped in to help as well, and they've done a fantastic job, but there are just so many moving parts to this, and I think any club that's thinking about getting their 3G really needs to think this through, and an understanding of actually what is going to go into this. And where we are quite a small band, a very small band of merry volunteers that do an absolutely brilliant job, we don't have the personnel to focus on too many different areas. And what's happened for the club, which is one of the reasons we've been in a bit of a mess, speaking candidly, is it has taken the chairman's complete attention, this 3G, and it is such hard work. And he's done an amazing job, as has Neil when he stepped up. But there are so many other parts of the club then that have almost we've just not had the right people to sort out. And because of it, we've been chasing our tail a little bit. And to be fair, I think a lot of it, I think the council's actually been really good for us recently, and so has Football Foundation, but through no fault of their own, it's just processing that. There is a lot of bureaucracy, which longs things out. There is a lot of complete A, B and C to do D, but you need to complete Y and Z first, and then you do that, and then actually know you could have had to do M, and it's like, oh my God. So it's a bit of that. But also parts of it have longed out because we haven't been able to do the stuff we should have been doing all along, because we've had so much focus on this. So recently, to get the lease over the line, which we've done, we've had to do our fire safety, we've had to do our Legionella, which we've done, we've had to redo our electrics, we've had to do, we've had got to have an archaeological dig, so we managed to get around that. So they wanted us to dig into the ground to make sure that we're not going to affect any old Roman pottery and stuff like that and break it. It's like, well, no, actually we dig deeper than that, when we drill seeding it. And actually, thankfully, the archaeologist said actually, yeah, that is said. I think we're going like 0.5 centimetre into the ground. Okay, fine. So there's another way around it that they're gonna do for us, which is very kind. But it's common sense. So there is a lot to it. We are getting there. It has been more drawn out than we thought, but we're close. And when it does, it will give the whole club a massive lift.
Yeah. Obviously, speaking of lift, obviously back then, you mentioned it earlier about the youth team being able to play on it, and very much more community with volunteering and stuff like that. What sort of is obviously that's a very big way to then reach out to the community and like to keep sustainability within the club. What other ways of doing that, Ashford, that you know of?
So, well, we're trying to do it now, Luke. So, as we said over the years, because so much has gone into that. Like the best brains at this football club, like, well, we've got a lot of good brains, but like I said, like the chairman, they've put so much time and effort into this. They've done the most phenomenal job, but it is taken up. Like, it's like a full-time job getting it through, as well as running their own businesses, things like that. And it's just not been possible. But now we're closer to it. We as a management team are trying to help the club as well and step up and do these things. And we've reached out, and there's a lot of people in the club that are more than willing to help. And there's a lot of initiatives that are now going on at the club. It's really exciting. We've got someone in the juniors that's going to help create an events committee now, which is going to be amazing. We're looking to create a Legends versus Ashford Juniors parents match and managers match, and I think that's amazing. So I think it gives recognition to the heroes of the club from the years gone by, which they absolutely deserve, and it also incorporates and engages the junior section, and that's what it's all about. And I think we're going to try and have it as the last ever game on the grass. Okay. And I think if we can have Ashford Legends out there as the last game on the grass, that would be a really good thing. And yeah, hopefully that'll be a great day. Yeah. We're obviously looking at the social media side as well, which you've done an amazing job doing, Thank Luke. You. No, you're doing really well for us. And ultimately, that's what it is. People like you stepping up and helping the club, and things like today. I mean, most people are even watching now because they're hearing me drone or something to do with you, me droning on rubbish, right? But it's things like this will engage people, and it will get more people involved, and hopefully that will encourage more people through the gate when we have a home gate. That will hopefully get more sponsors in. That will hopefully get more engagement from the local community. That's the kids. That's the junior section. That's areas of the community that we've not actually reached out yet, and then from there we can build a football club.
Yeah. Obviously, you mentioned about how it's been since. This is going to sound really self-absorbed, which isn't where I mean it.
Go on.
It's been since I've done a job for social media.
Yeah.
Why wasn't there any sort of social media thing last year? I.e., these interviews, for example. How come there wasn't any interviews last year?
Okay.
That sort of outreach.
That was more me. That was more me. Last year, where we were at, like I said, we were in an incredibly vulnerable position, and I felt that we just needed to go completely under the radar. And I think even now, I think most managers in this league, and there'll be a couple of managers watching this going, Tuffs, why are you doing this? And I've got a lot of other manager friends in this league that do social media, and they hate it. And you do want to go under the radar at this level. You don't want to give away too much and things like that. But I think as a football club, right now, this club needs to reach out. This club needs to be seen. This club needs to have a reach to get people interested in it. And this is the way of doing it. And I think right now, this is bigger than the team as a whole. The club is always bigger than anything. It's always the club at heart. And right now, more than anything, the club, it needs to generate interest and support and that community feeling.
Yeah. So now we're going to move on to the final question that's to do directly with the club itself. Which you've mentioned a few names of people working at the club and things like that. Who would you say is biggest unsung hero here? Doesn't get as much appreciation as they really should.
Okay. So I'll go with this man because he's done a very long stint uninterrupted at the club for many years, and I don't see his name banded around an awful lot. But Chris Camden, for me, is an unsung hero at this club. He very quietly goes about his business. Chris Camden, he does the card on match days to try and make a few quid for the club. He's doing the turnstile gates. He opens up the club to get builders in, electricians in, and all that sort of stuff. And he never asks for any thanks. He never asks for anything. and he's always there, and he is just, people like that are the reason the club survives, and he deserves a lot of recognition.
Okay. So that was the final question of to do with club, like I said.
Boom.
So now moving on to you.
This is where everyone turns off. Right, go on, where we got? How many of these are inappropriate?
None of these, we filtered out the inappropriate ones.
Okay, good.
And we're starting with
You lot are absolute, honestly.
So we're keeping this off with the more football related ones.
Okay.
Which, first of all, this one's a bit to do with Ashford as well.
Go on.
So, obviously, you was here before as well. How different is it compared to when you was here before, and sort of both with the club and your own mindset?
Oh, wow. Okay. So, the mindset, firstly, I'm probably not as happy-go-lucky as I was. The first time I come in here was off the back of, obviously I was number 2 at Hartley, or head coach, whatever you want to call it. Won 3 leagues in a row and then finished on the edge of step 3 playoffs. Like, that's a lot of success, and went to Nap Hill, first manager's job. Everyone says he's not going to do it, and I think we'd won the league in our first year, or at the very least come second. We were second with 3 games now in Ascot, whatever, and we then had that group. Obviously COVID hit, we took it into Ashford, and we already had a winning group, and that is now 4 or 5 years of success in a row, and we hit the ground running here as well. We're very lucky. We had a really good group of players. Many of them have been with me for years at one club or another, or both, and it was great fun. I think then COVID hit again, and boys retired, moved on, wanted to stay more local, wanted to be mates, and it sort of disbanded, which I was very sad about actually at times. I think we did have something special, and then we had to start from scratch. But still, I think I had a feeling of, this sounds stupid, I just thought I could win everything I did, and obviously I still completely back myself, but I'm a lot more balanced now. But we did have a lot of success. I think the last year or 2 did level me a little bit, and it has, which is probably why I'm a lot more balanced now. I wasn't perhaps not quite so happy-go-lucky. Don't mean that to come across in any way. That's just the truth. As a player group, it's a little bit different because we're now building something. So I said the first year we were here, that group had been built over many years, and we were half the team. Like I said, we'd had the year before at Nap Hill. The other half, right? We'd had even at Hartley in the years gone by, like Frenchies and Duffies and all that. Like Jake Maddock. They've been with us, or me, one way or another, for many years. And obviously we had a few boys that we kept from Ashford that have been together for years. So we had a really strong group that knew each other in and out, which we don't have that right now. Right now we're a new group that are getting to know each other, great lads, and it will work, and they're great fun to be around. But they don't know each other that well yet, and that will come over time. So that's a little bit of difference. Is we come in, first time coming here, we come in here with it ready-made to go. We're now here feeling our way through and finding out what the best formula is as people as well as players. As a club, how it's different, it's a lot smaller volunteer-wise than it was the first time I come here. So obviously last few years, apart from that first year we were here, the club has obviously financially struggled for probably near on a decade now. And if you go back 15, 20, 25 years before you were even born, Ashford was a massive step 3 club, and there were 600-700 people out there at the top end of step 3, and every year it's gone down and down and down, and ultimately people want to watch successful teams. We haven't had an overly successful club team since they won the Cornwall Counties under Ben Murray. There hasn't been here for many, many years, and with that, interest has just died. And instead, the chairman and that have done an amazing job driving this 3G, working day and night to get this through so we can propel the club back up again. But ultimately, the band of volunteers to help has gone smaller. The supporters numbers have gone smaller, and that does make it harder. And our job now, and this is where you're doing such a good job, our job now is to rebuild this. Our job now is to rebuild this, and hopefully over the coming years we will do that.
So obviously, you said that before it was bigger, not bigger as in like bigger in terms of amount of people and things like that, than it is now. and someone on Twitter asked if you saw coming back as almost a backward step because you had said you'd left to better yourself.
I never said that, I got sacked. Thank you though for bringing that up. No, so this isn't a backward step. The reason it's not a backward step is numerous folds. So one, I believe in the chairman. I believe in the chairman, he is, I can't speak high enough of him. So 100% this is not a backward step. This is a big town club that has said through lack of interest, lack of this, lack of that over the years, lack of volunteers, has gone like that. But it has got the ability to thrive, and I said with all this stuff happening here, we can build this into one of the biggest clubs in the area. I truly believe it, and I'd be very proud to help the club get there. I think that it's also a good club for my development where I can be myself. And obviously I passed my A licence a few months ago, which I'm, thank God at last, I'm very proud of, obviously. And the pressure at this club comes from myself. Pressure comes from myself. Chairman knows where we're at. Directors know where we're at, and that's obviously there's a lot of pressure because it's put from Kenny as well, from the boys. Pressure comes from us, but that does help me. I think that I needed that at my stage of the life to be able to go and learn still. Because again, I know I'm an old man, and I'm still in my 30s, I'm hurtling through my 30s now. But as a manager, that isn't that old in comparison. And I think I've got a lot of years ahead. And I think at a big town club, if we can regenerate this whole football club and turn it into a club the whole town can be proud of, I don't think that's a backward step.
Oh yeah. But so, obviously, a lot of people aren't as involved in, say, non-league as they are in more professional football. So, from your personal standpoint, what would you say are both the best and some of the worst parts of non-league as a whole?
Best and worst parts of the league?
Yeah.
They're the same thing, people. the people are football, the supporters are football, and without supporters and without people, there is no football. It's really as simple as that, and I love being in a group. I'm very group orientated. I'm massively a pack animal, I guess, for want of a better word. It's dealing with all the nuances and individuals within that like put themselves above group and stuff like that, and that goes from outside dressing room, whether we're talking about anywhere, we're talking about in a club, we're talking about that's something that can be a bit of a nightmare at times. But I think I think the other thing I find in football is people don't want you to succeed. That is something that I find really strange, because I genuinely love seeing people do well. And I think when I was at Leatherhead, I couldn't believe it, like the amount of comments. So I get fake accounts hammering me and stuff. Like one of them, he's a player, right? Plays in our league, right? I won't say his name or anything, right? He's hammering, right? I've never even met the bloke, and he's making fake accounts now. Like, what are you doing? Like, but it was constant, and I did mentally struggle with it at the time. I did. I thought I was buzz off that sort of attention, and I think over a short space of time you can. But when you're struggling over a period or whatnot, and there's other stuff going in your life, I did find that really hard. But we're good to go again now.
Yeah. Right, so that is the final question that's football related.
Go on.
So now actually it's on to non-football, just you as a person.
Okay, go on.
Although most of these are a bit more less serious.
Okay, that's fine. Go on.
So we're kicking things off with, what's your favourite cereal?
Favourite cereal? I'm far too ADHD to have just one cereal, and I'll never eat the same thing twice in a row. I get bored, so a little bit of everything every day, I guess, and living on the go, I probably don't have the best diet, as you can probably see. Going downhill.
Alright, next up, sticking on food.
Yeah?
Your favourite order from an Indian takeaway?
Chicken tikka masala, pilla rice, onion bhajis.
Straight on there, you know exactly.
Every single time. Mobile in bag shop, there you go. They can give us 25 quid sponsorship now as well. Yeah, very good.
Alright. Who is the most famous or interesting person that either phone book, follow on Twitter, something else, that you have somewhat contact with?
Probably Rio Ferdinand.
Okay.
We did a few Zoom calls during COVID, and Yeah, he follows me on Twitter. I still check his Twitter. Does he still follow me? He does. But otherwise they just be people in the media and managers higher up the chain. I've got a few League 2 and National League managers and stuff like that. But obviously that's football, right? You want to get loans and you want to make friends and influence and all that sort of stuff. So.
Okay, so moving on next, a very highly debated topic: iPhone or Android?
iPhone, and you've got an Android.
I've got an Android.
You're far too young to have an Android. Go on.
And now, actually, for what is your final question?
Okay.
What is your favourite music band or just favourite artist?
I like all music, which is really boring, but if you had to say, I'd like something like Arctic Monkeys would be great.
Okay.
Or go a bit more chill, maybe a little bit of Beautiful South from the 90s, a little bit, mix it up a little bit, like a little bit of everything. Like a little bit of everything. Old man and I.
So that is the final question that's on here. Just thank you for being here, of course. Thank you for answering all the questions sent in.
No, appreciate it. If anyone's actually watched this through, good stamina.
Fair play to you.
Good stamina.
And
No,
just to end,
go on.
is there any message you want to send to the fans or the club, or even any new viewers that are clicking on this we've never heard of?
Come and get involved in your local football club and come be part of the journey.